Hey, it's Carrie with Divine Radiance. And today I want to talk about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So, a lot of talk about this going on. I wanted to give my take on how I understand it and how I see it. So, a lot of talk about the rising of the divine feminine, right? We've lived in a patriarchal society forever. For pretty much recorded history has been mostly about a patriarchal society. So there's all this talk about the rising of the divine feminine. And from what I understand, we don't even know the divine masculine, because without the balance, we can't have the divine masculine. So we've just had patriarchal, right? We see that in religions, we see that all throughout society. So I want to talk about what is divine masculine, divine feminine, talk a little bit about wounded masculine, wounded feminine. You'll recognize those, I'm sure. And then what it means. Like, how do we bring about this balance? How can we get the divine feminine to rise up to create balance in the collective, and what that would look like? So let's start off with, let me just explain that these divine masculine and divine feminine, when I'm talking about those, I'm talking about qualities. So everything inherently has both masculine and feminine qualities, including God, right? A lot of times the feminine is taken out of God. It's just known as a man, but God and everything else has both divine masculine and divine feminine qualities. So we're just talking about qualities, not gender. So gender is something completely different, obviously. And I will, when I'm talking gender, I will say male, female, woman, man. And when I'm talking about masculine, feminine, that means I'm talking about the qualities. So each person, regardless of their gender, as a whole, if they were whole, they would encompass both divine masculine and divine feminine qualities. These qualities should be seen in each individual person. So that is what's been missing, is because in a gender, a lot of times, certain qualities are suppressed. So in male, a lot of times anything that's deemed as feminine will be suppressed, and vice versa in women. But as we'll see with the wounded, it can be in both, right? Both. So let me just talk about first, what is a divine feminine quality? What are some of the divine feminine qualities? So intuitive, nurturing, healing, compassionate, receptive, empathetic, magnetic, vulnerable, authentic, creative, right? These are all known as divine feminine qualities. And some divine masculine qualities: strength, being strong, protective, independent, supportive, being deeply present, disciplined, logical, focused, honest, stable and secure, humble, accountable, and has integrity. So those are some divine masculine qualities. And like I said, a perfectly balanced whole person would encompass all of those qualities, right? They would have both divine masculine and divine feminine. But what we see a lot in society because of this imbalance is the wounded masculine and the wounded female, especially in relationships. So the wounded feminine, so these are qualities, once again, insecure, needy, codependent, manipulative, inauthentic, overly emotional, and victim, plays the victim. So once again, a man or a guy could have these qualities, the wounded female qualities, wounded feminine qualities. And then the wounded masculine: controlling, aggressive, withdraws and avoids, competitive, abusive, unstable. So those are the wounded masculine. And as you know, you probably know, there can be women who possess those qualities as well. So we're not talking gender, these are qualities. And those type of people tend to draw to each other. And it creates a toxic, unhealthy environment and relationship, right? And it's more about controlling than about loving, right? Unconditional love is what we want to strive for, where these are more like relationships where they are working out their issues. So how do we correct this? How do we go to be a more balanced society and a collective as a whole? So I was devising some classes, some courses, and of course I'm all about the rising of the divine feminine. But one of the first courses that came to me was called Awakening Your Inner Warrior, which I realized was about connecting to your divine masculine. And I'm like, well, what is going on? I'm not trying to, strengthen the divine masculine. But the message that came to me very clearly, that in order for the divine feminine to rise up, the women of the world, so yes, now I'm talking women mostly, need to embrace and connect with their divine masculine. That doesn't mean they become all masculine, but to balance it with their divine feminine. So being super strong and independent and protective of themselves, right? Balanced with being loving and compassionate and nurturing, right? Creates this amazing woman or feminine being. And in that, in the women embracing their divine masculine, the men will follow suit. So it starts with the women. This was the message that was very clearly given to me. The men aren't going to change on their own. They are actually responding. Their wounded masculine is responding to the wounded females, the wounded feminine, right, that we talked about. It's because there's no balance. The women haven't been protecting themselves. They haven't been strong in these relationships. We're talking general. And the men are kind of lost. And that brings about this abusiveness and controlling behavior. But by the women embracing their divine masculine, balanced with their divine feminine, the men will follow suit. The men will have no choice but to change, right? If we don't allow abuse, they'll have to change. And then they will start embracing their divine feminine. And they will become more balanced. And this isn't about emasculating or making, it's this beautiful balance of both that creates a healthy person. And then the men will follow suit, and that will bring about the rising of the divine feminine. So in order for that to happen, the women of the world embrace their divine masculine, balance with their divine feminine, they become balanced and whole, then the men will. The men then will become whole as well in their qualities. And then the relationships will be about unconditional love, two healthy, whole people coming together and having a beautiful relationship. And that will extend into society and then into the collective as a whole. And that's how things will change. And in a balanced society, we're going to see a more loving, compassionate society, and going away from being super competitive and all about a me society, and everything's just all, what's in it for me type of thing, where we're going to be going to a more community-based society, a more loving and caring. That is what the divine feminine will be bringing as she is ushered in. But it starts with us women. It starts with each of us becoming more balanced. And a man who's watching this, don't have to wait to start embracing their divine feminine. So I developed 3 courses, guys. I had no idea that they were about this, because once I looked into it, was about embracing the divine masculine, awakening your inner warrior. My second class is Ascension Accelerator, which is about embracing the divine feminine. And then the third class, Master Manifester, is the balance of the two. And when you're balanced in both of those, then you can start manifesting from a healthy place. And I didn't even realize that. But once it all came together, I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. So this is a topic I love. If you have any questions about how do I embrace whatever you feel you may be lacking, whether it's divine masculine or divine feminine, let me know, comment below, let me know if this resonates, let me know if this makes sense. If you have any questions, please reach out. We'd love to see you, and I'll put the information on the classes down below if it's something you're interested in. So blessings to you all.